This is a message for Nicole. This is Kenzie calling in regards to a personal business matter here with Discover Student Loans. It's important we do hear back from you. Thank you so much for taking our message. We look forward to hearing back from you.
Hello, I'm calling from Discover Student Loans about an important message. This is not a sales call. We have tried to reach you recently but have been unsuccessful in doing so. I am excited to hear from you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to your call.
Yes, this is Helen Williams, and I'm calling in reference to your federal student loan. I need to discuss your repayment options. If you could just please give me a call back. Thank you.
This is for Nicky Tavares.
Hello, are you there?
The moment you receive this message, I need you to get back to me on my department division. Now, if I don't hear a call from you, we will have to issue an arrest warrant under your name and get you arrested. So get back to me as soon as possible. Thank you.
We're now at over $1 trillion in student loans owed by all the children in this country.
And we're not talking about people asking for a free ride here. I mean, we're just talking about these interest rates being so high that it's almost impossible to pay these loans back. I mean, again, people paying on their loans for 10 years, not touching the principal.
I've always been very good with loans. And I love loans. I love other people's money.
Hello. Thanks for calling Navy First Mark Services.
Discover Student Loans.
Mohila about your student loan account. Calls may be recorded for quality assurance. For security purposes, please enter either your social security number or account number. One moment while I pull up your account. Okay, our records indicate that you are in repayment, and your account is 35 days delinquent. Until your account is brought current, calls and letters regarding your delinquency may continue. Your current principal balance is $57,187.95. Your payoff balance is $74,506.68. To hear this information again, say repeat. What would you like to do next?
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow. I was practicing piano when Mom told me to stop. She called me over and we sat on the couch. She pulled out her eyebrow. She stared at the rug. And that's when she told us, Garfunkel is dead. Garfunkel is dead. He slid beneath the motion sensor of the garage door. The dented left he could not recover from. How could you, mother? You're a mean mom. You killed my cat. You're a mean mom. You killed my cat. He had a purr like a diesel engine. He was kinda dumb, but I loved him. You're a mean mom. You killed my cat. You're a mean mom. You killed my cat. We buried him in the garden, but first we opened the box to say bye to him. His paws were like so. His tongue was askew. The zucchinis were big that year. My cat is dead. I'm eating zucchini bread.
Hello. Hello, Nikki.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been too long.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, so that was wonderful. Thank you for that program.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was great to show it in this online setting.
Yeah, I wish we could do it in person.
Likewise.
Uh-oh. Hi. Door. Getting feedback. Yeah, so that was a short program. The last piece is a work in progress for you.
Correct. Yes. I think deadlines now are more important than ever, right? To, as for creative work in this context, it's been, yeah, I don't know. I've been able to talk with some artist friends about just the honesty of the struggles, right? And just staying on track, staying connected to my creative practice. So this was really wonderful to kind of make some movement. And it also features some of the phytogram film that I worked on in the Shapeshifters workshop with Greta Snyder, this last piece. So yeah, I don't know if you recognize some of that.
I didn't until you pointed it out, so I'm glad that you pointed it out. Yeah, I was just making some notes about seeing your work all together, and there's so much color. There's so much saturated color in your work, and so much pattern and repetition.
I never really thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how like every piece is so tied to like such personal stories of yours, but it seems like the way that you present it is more like focused on the like minuscule details of what, you know, whatever it is that you're working with. Is that like an easier way for you to share your thoughts about things?
Just like the sort of hyper focusing on very specific details.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really thought about it like that, but there's something about, yeah, especially with the student loan piece, right? I mean, that piece took, in starting it, you know, originally I thought I would interview other artists who also have student loan debt. I thought it was going to be more of a gathering from others. But I found that like many people don't really want to talk about their loans. Like they'd rather not talk about it, or, you know, they have it on auto payment and then it's just sort of in the background, right? And then some people just don't have any loans. I wish I was one of those people. But yeah, so there's something about how can I make a film where many people don't want to talk about this. I don't even want to think about it. Just sort of think about the choices that I made, you know, when I was pretty young and naive, and I thought that all my loans would be paid off by now. But yeah, there's something about being able to hyper focus on something like an envelope pattern. And then also, you know, with each project, I try and learn a new sort of technical approach, you know. So for that, I learned how to screen print. So I screen printed, you know, patterns directly onto clear film acetate using different kinds of inks. So there's something about the process as well, where I feel like I want to learn something new with each project. Like for the Garfunkel is Dead piece, like that, I learned how to animate, you know, learn 2D animation, making that piece. So each piece kind of, I try and learn some new tools. Yeah, so I think that in learning new tools, there's also attention to detail that comes across as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
My mom is very supportive of that piece, just want to say. She thought it was funny. She thought, yeah, Mom approves.
And that's another thing that I noted, which is your humor. You seem to use humor as a way to, you know, work through your thoughts, your issues.
My issues.
Yeah, I guess if you're not crying, or, you know, it's better to laugh than cry or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's important to search for beauty and for humor, right?
And I don't know, do you want to, so 2 of your pieces have bees in them. Do you want to speak directly about your relationship to the bees, or?
I could. Yeah, I feel like I'm working closer to, like I'm working on a body of work about bees and bee colony collapse disorder, but also about apitherapy, which is, yeah, it's like the practice of using bee products for medicine. So I actually use bee venom therapy. And so with each project that kind of uses bees, I feel like I'm taking one step closer into towards like really exploring this very personal relationship with bees, using bees as medicine. Yeah, so I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, I would say like several years ago, maybe in 2016. And I went through I went through sort of every sort of allopathic medicine treatment, including antibiotics for Lyme disease. And I just never really got well. So I was really kind of failed by allopathic medicine. And that kind of led me to do a lot of research about the history of women in medicine and sort of inequality of healthcare. And it wasn't until I moved to California, not long, after I met you actually, and I started going to film screenings in Oakland and San Francisco, I stumbled upon this group that practiced live bee venom therapy. And it was just this really interesting group. And I was just really curious. And at that point, with all that I went through with my health, I was just willing to try anything. Like, yeah, you have to go through a lot, I think, in your health before you're willing to sting yourself with some bees. So now I'm like coming through to the end of my treatment, but I've been doing bee venom therapy for 3 years. It's really hard to say like how, it's just been like a really amazing journey. And I've been able to, just like go back into my life, back into, as a productive member of society when I was really unwell for so long. So it's a really fascinating practice. And I've been researching bees. I've been learning how to keep bees. I think we had the same beekeeping teacher from Berkeley. So it's just been something that I've been exploring creatively because I'm just trying to understand it. And I would say maybe 2 projects with bees, but I feel like I'm working towards, I'm not sure if it's a body of, well, I guess it's turning into a body of work, but I imagine that myself making a longer project that kind of directly, at least more directly, explores apitherapy or bee venom therapy.
Yeah, and I guess we should mention that those bees were very personal to me too, because
yes,
they were my bees. So that was me in that costume there.
Starring Kathleen, yes, yeah, that was such a fun day. Holding them. I remember I was holding them. I don't even remember how I held the microphone and the Bolex camera in the bee suit. Yeah. I can't even remember now.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it either.
But yeah, one disclaimer about bee venom therapy is that worker bees live only 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. So any bees used in therapy are like in God's waiting room, like they're on, bees die naturally from the hive every day. And, bee colony collapse disorder is a problem. And I do care about bees. So I just wanted to say that in case I'm shocking our audience out there. So.
I don't know if we have any questions from the audience because I can't see it.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me?
Me? I don't know. Well, I guess there's always
hard to follow up with that one, huh?
Yeah. So you were you were planning on doing a performance with bees to sort of mark the end of your
yes. Yeah. I'd still like to do that. But that's the goal, a kind of culmination of a live performance. Yeah. But I'm still not at the end. Like I'm getting closer to the end, but I'm still not at the end. So it's kind of it's been an interesting journey. Yeah. And now that there's the pandemic, I have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Right. Better.
So what you're planning on finishing your notes from the lower rungs project?
Yeah. And that's still developing. I mean, that is like, so I've been like going through my notes, and when I speak of the lower rungs, I'm sort of referring to the academy and my journey in academia. It's been a really rich and colorful experience, teaching at different institutions. So I'm like trying to process or work through just sort of this, like, coming from, after being in the Bay Area, involved in different art collectives in this horizontal working environment, and then to kind of re-enter this hierarchy of the academy. It's just making me like go back and research some old diary entries, and making meaning out of the experience of starting off as an adjunct, as a naive adjunct, and kind of working my way as a lecturer, and then as a Mellon fellow, and just, yeah, I wish I kept even better diary entries than I did, but I'm just kind of thinking about this institution, and and what, like, and the challenges of navigating through it and making meaning. And there's certainly a lot of humor there as well. So this is what we're seeing here today is like a 2-minute piece that's really just starting to experiment with images and sound, like just different textures. I know that part of it is going to be digital. So you see some digital footage there, but it's also shot on 16mm film. So right now I'm just thinking about, as I'm rereading these diary entries and having these phone conversations with old colleagues, and just really trying to revisit sort of this journey as I'm like now on the tenure track at a marvelous institution. I teach at Grinnell College. I'm really happy there. But yeah, just trying to make meaning and process. So I see myself using some digital footage. And I have all kinds of different cameras I've been experimenting with, ear cleaning cameras. So you'll see some of the footage that you see in the piece. It's these kind of cheap, like, tube ear cleaning cameras. And so, yeah, I've been filming bees and also filming like the body as landscape. And then, of course, some of the phytogram images that I took at the Shapeshifters workshop with Greta Snyder, and then some 16mm images. So still really early stages. I don't think you can get a sense of the content that I'm thinking about yet, but I'm hoping that that will slowly emerge in some way. Thinking also about voiceover, but it's still early. So I'm just so grateful for this opportunity here at Shapeshifters to kind of get me moving, on this project. And it also gave me a great experience, an excuse to meet with my critique group. So I'm involved in a critique group. So it was really wonderful just to gather virtually with them, just to kind of, just keep the conversation going. And I know that you've been really busy during the pandemic. How many workshops have you attended?
I think I'm up to like 14 or 15.
That's awesome. So you've been learning, you've been like skilling up and expanding your creative toolkit quite a bit.
Yeah, probably more than I should, because now I feel like I'm just completely like paralyzed because I have so many new things that I want to try. Like, wait, what do I do first? So
yeah, I can relate to that. Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you make those connections, right?
Yeah, but it's been fun, and it's all been focused on just sort of like, it's very DIY and like focused on things that, the ones that we're doing through Shapeshifters are all about like things that you could probably, do with things that you probably already have access to, and easily access. And, so you don't necessarily need access to dark rooms or like fancy, expensive equipment. So we're just trying to, keep the creative juices flowing, I guess, out there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. We appreciate it as an audience. Yeah.
Did you get a question?
Oh, did you?
Okay. W. Baker is saying, Garfunkel is Dead. Oh, Garfunkel is Dead is amazing. Can you talk about the process of making it?
Oh, sure. So I actually went to Berkeley City College to take experimental animation. So I actually took a class, this is before, I think it overlapped with a residency at the Kala Art Institute in Berkeley, which I recommend to anyone interested in, what was so wonderful about the Kala residency. So I was able to take a screen printing workshop, and that's how I started making the student loan film. But Garfunkel is Dead, I was really learning how to do all these 2D animation techniques along the way. So, you'll notice I'm making like articulated, there's like a hand pulling the eyebrow. That's one technique. Some of it's digital. Some of it, like all of the sort of textures I photographed myself, you know. So I just really wanted to be handmade. I mean, like, but there's a certain amount of sort of just sort of open source imagery, like the zucchini. I didn't grow the zucchini, not this time. But so I was really learning how to do all these techniques. And it was sort of my first time going back to be a student in a long time. So that was, I really think that improved my teaching tremendously. So I was really grateful for that. But I just tried to incorporate every exercise that we did in class. I tried to incorporate whatever I did into the project. And I'd been writing these really nerdy songs for a long time. And you know, Garfunkel was the most amazing cat. Like no cat, I've never had like the same relationship with a cat. And my mom accidentally killed him with the garage door, and she waited till after my piano lesson to tell me. And she felt awful, and it wasn't her fault. And but I was a real brat. And I used to throw it in her face, you know, like every argument. And maybe your kids are a lot nicer, Kathleen. But if I got mad, if we were in an argument, I would tell her that she was a mean mom and she killed my cat. So just like that repetition in the piece is really repetition in my life, my childhood. Yeah, but luckily she's one tough cookie, and she didn't really like let me. Yeah, I mean, I know she felt bad, but she didn't let me manipulate her with it. And that's sort of, it's revisiting this idea of childhood trauma and sort of also thinking about myself as a child and how, yeah, just our sort of memories of trauma can be, or, you know, like these difficult experiences can also be corrupted by our own manipulative tendencies, or at least mine. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I was really lucky to have the structure of a class. And I just really tried to learn every 2D animation technique. And I recommend the class at Berkeley City College. It's called Experimental Animation. The instructor is pretty great. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. It's been a while, but she's awesome. And yeah. So mining those memories, turning like a painful childhood experience into a really dorky song. And I get kind of cringy when I hear it, you know, because I'm not really a musician. I mean, I played piano when I was a kid, but I quit soon after my cat died, kind of a bad association. I later tried to go back to it, but I was a really mediocre piano player. I was lazy and I didn't practice, and that's the truth. Yeah, but yeah, it was also a great reason to look through family photos. But I mean, I can't believe we buried that cat in the garden. Like we just buried him in the vegetable garden. And I didn't even really realize that till I took my husband back to my old, you know, town where I grew up. And we walked around the neighborhood. I'm like, that's where we buried the cat. And I was like, that's where the garden was. And I was like, oh my God. And we ate so much zucchini bread, like those zucchinis. Zucchini bread. Those zucchinis were big. They were healthy.
Must have been a healthy cat then.
Yeah. He nourished us.
Made great comments.
Yeah, he did. So that was a long, convoluted answer. But thank you. Thanks for your encouragement. It's a very embarrassing piece for me to watch.
Yeah. Well, I was also realizing, I mean, every single piece is like, it's like very handmade, but different like techniques. Like you have, so the B film you hand processed, right?
I did half of it, yeah. The color part I sent to the lab, but the first part, yeah, I learned how to use, I knew how to use a Bolex, but I never used a Bolex in a beekeeping suit. So that had its own challenges. And then I recorded the sound digitally, and I still can't quite remember how I did that, with a Zoom recorder. And then I learned how to use the optical printer at the Black Hole Collective Film Lab. So that was a really exciting And yeah, intimidating process. It's like a really old piece of equipment that you have to learn in the pitch darkness, right? You can't have any available light. And you're really just threading multiple pieces of film, sort of if you imagine like a pinball machine, kind of threading it through in the dark. And you have to do these really precise movements of just moving like 2 strips of film sandwiched together, back like only 2 frames. To maintain a film loop, and so it took me a really long time just to even manage to thread the optical printer. The contact printer. The contact printer correctly, and yeah, the Black Hole Lab. My fellow members were so supportive. I would send them, pictures, and I'd just be like, "Does this look right?" And like, "Nope, that does not look right." Pictures from the black hole. And so, yeah, so that was a really amazing learning opportunity. And I try to, with each piece, I just try and learn something new to kind of keep my practice fresh, to kind of keep my brain wrinkling. And that's just really what excites me. So I feel like I'm a little bit slower at making work because I'm always trying to learn something. And then I often work, for the most part, by myself. So it just takes a little bit longer. But in this piece, I had the Black Hole Lab. So in the animation piece, I was learning 2D animation. And so I would say with this new piece, Notes from the Lower Rungs, I'm learning all these kind of strange cameras on Amazon. Just buying them kind of messed up my algorithm, right, for my ads. They're all so strange because I must have bought like,
Can you explain that, bro? What exactly?
Yeah. So it's a USB camera, and it comes with these little attachments, but I don't use the attachments. But yeah, you can like use this to pick your earwax out, and you can record it. But I'm just sort of using it to get into the nooks and crannies of my beehive. I'm also, just sort of, it's kind of gives you really close up of, skin texture. Some, trying to explore like body as landscape. The quality is kind of crappy. So I'm just kind of like, it has its own sort of quality, and it has, you can't really tell if I plugged it in, but it has like LED lights on it. So I'm not really sure where it's going, but if you want to buy an earwax camera, you should talk to me because I know which ones are fake, because I have like 3 I have 3 of them, and I got like an automotive one as well. So I've just been experimenting with these different cameras just for different kinds of input, just for a different look and feel. And also, I've been thinking a lot about I starting with the bee filming your bees. I have these lens extenders for the Bolex that came with my Bolex. And so I've been getting some lens extenders for my digital camera. So I'm also just exploring with what happens when you're, I guess I'm experimenting with world building, what happens when you can get close, like really close.
Mm-hmm. Inside the ear close.
Inside the ear close, yes. Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Eric was asking how your mom thought about your piece, or what about your piece.
She was really cool about it. Yeah, because as I said, I was a real brat about it growing up. I mean, she felt bad it was an accident. I mean, I really was sad. I missed that cat still, because we were close. You just like have you bond, and it was not. I mean, she was like, poor thing. She was like holding that in all day. Like we had to go to piano lesson. Then my brother had to go to soccer practice. And it's just like, I just remember the details of that moment. It just, it was probably like one of the worst moments I felt as a kid, which I guess it says, is a good thing, right? In some ways, I mean, to lose a pet being your worst, like the hardest childhood moment of that time. But so she's cool. She has a sense of humor about it. She really likes the wine part.
Yeah.
I think my dad worried for a moment, that I was still like, I'm old now. I'm in my 30s. Yeah, it's all right. I don't begrudge my parents. They did their best. But maybe he was a little worried I was still carrying around some. Yeah, but I was just like, it's cool, Dad. Yeah.
But you're working your way through it with your art, so.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she thought it was funny. And I think, showing it to like my cousin, she remembers all the, for example, she remembers all the details, like how accurate they are. Like she remembers that rug. She remembers eating all the zucchini bread, you know, like there are just certain things that like kind of stick in your memory as a kid. So even though like the imagery is sourced from everywhere, some of it's from my family archive, but some of it's just from Google Images. And then some of the things I drew myself or painted myself. But yeah, so it's just funny what you latch onto visually, what you remember from your childhood. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, is there anything you've said quite a lot? Is there anything else that you want?
Hopefully not too much. I think we've covered some ground. Yeah, yeah. Between bees and earwax cameras and my dead cat, maybe it's time to call it a night. Yeah, thank you so much. I have my second screen here, so I'm like, thank you, audience. Thank you so much for coming virtually and for hanging out. I can't see you out there, but I'm really grateful that you came. And thank you so much, Shapeshifters Cinema, for Kathleen and Gilbert. Thanks for all the efforts expended. I know it takes work to put this on, so much work, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. And yeah, it's so good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
We're happy to share your work.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, take care. I'll see
you too. Yes. I owe you an email.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.